And now, Hangar 56 Media presents Spike's Car Radio, a downloadable cars and coffee, hosted by writer, comedian, and automotive enthusiast Spike Ferriston. Now, here's Spike.
Hey there, everybody. Happy Wednesday. Happy Spike's Car Radio Day. Hope you're doing well. Terrific show for you today. Today's show sponsored by Hawthorne. They make delightful ointments and perfumes and things. We'll chat about them in a second. Our guests this beautiful day are Erica Martin and Jovina Young. They work for Ford, Zuckerman, and they are doing something called the Rebelle Rally, which is an all-woman competition that covers 1,200 miles. Beginning in Lake Tahoe. They're going to be joining us via Zoom from Tahoe in the same room. I insisted that they be in the same room, so I didn't have to deal with two different computers like our friends, the Car Guys TV, who were, I thought it turned out pretty good last week, Car Guys TV. We had two different guys from two different computers talking on Zoom. It was complicated because when you talk,
These are our British fans, yes?
This is our sister show across the pond.
Yes.
Right?
In Leeds or Manchester.
Yeah. In merry old England. So we got that going on for you guys. I made some notes here, Zuckerman. Where are my notes?
What's the name of this ladies' rally?
Well, what's that?
What's the name of the ladies' rally?
That's called the Rebelle Rally. Rebelle.
Oh,
and we're not allowed.
I think that Farah and Lieberman should join too. Those are two ladies I know.
It sounded like fun. I said I would doubtfire it with them next year. I offered that to Ford, but they have not responded. I know what I wanted. I wanted to recap the Porsche Drive App show, which went over huge, Zuckerman. Porsche's over the moon about it, and the resulting free giveaway. Media post, of which we're doing two now, was big. We had 1,000 entries on Instagram trying to get that free weekend for 9/11.
I have to express one very small iota of disappointment.
Yes.
The listeners need to know that Porsche deleted all of my juicy and pungent cursing from that episode.
Yes.
Yes.
On top of which I had asked you to not use any of that cursing for this particular episode for our friends at Porsche.
I understand that, but if you ask me not to do something, what do you think the result is going to be?
I know, you're very childish that way. I understand.
You should have had the girl ask me.
I was quite calm about it because I knew I could just edit it all out.
You should have had...
I've dealt with this before with my dad. I know what these... But, you're very new to this whole space, and I understand that you want to be who you are, but... In the professional realm of entertainment, we work inside different frameworks. You refusing, and that's fine, but you limit yourself.
I should just refuse, period. I go fucking away and never come back.
You could do that.
I could do that.
You could do that.
That would be the frame that I exist in.
Yes,
the blank
you could
frame.
exist in that frame. But for a company like Porsche, our buddies, I said, yeah, whatever you guys want. I like this.
I didn't bring up any, Reich stuff. I didn't say anything untoward about the founding of the company. None of that stuff. I was respectful. I was respectful.
You were quite disrespectful, as you are being right now. But I believe that's what your six fans like. So there you go, six fans. Anyway, we gave away a free weekend on the Porsche Drive app. And a fella by the name of Casey Tucker Brown from San Diego who wanted to take the 911 out to Angeles Crest won.
He looked happy.
He was very. That was a picture I found on his Instagram profile, but it looked like a guy that just won, right? But that was just me producing Tucker, and I was just like, oh, that's perfect. Here was my dilemma with that because he's there with a young woman. And I went back about a year into his profile, and I wasn't sure they were still dating.
Oh, you just screwed everything up.
I didn't want to.
You just fucked poor Mr. Brown.
Well, hopefully they're still together. We'll know after this podcast airs. He'll reach out and go, yes, I'm still dating.
Just launch the 911 into the canyon.
Yeah, I know. Oh, no, we did ask for his permission to link to his profile. Porsche did, and he said it was fine. I didn't ask for permission to use a picture of his old girlfriend, but hopefully his old girlfriend is his current girlfriend.
Rekindle it, and there'll be a Lieberman moment in the car.
Yeah.
For those fans who know what I'm talking about.
Yes, no, we call it Lieberman mode.
Lieberman mode.
Yeah, it's like ludicrous mode. There's Lieberman mode. It's the same thing. Anyways, the 992 cab that I'm using, because I'm signed up now for Porsche Drive app.
And I'm piggybacking you. Did you get notice? I've been accepted.
Oh, you have?
Yes,
oh, so you're ready to go? No,
I'm ready to go.
I want you to be able to drive these cars as I get them too, and it was interesting. I reached out to Porsche. I said, "Hey, Zuckerman needs to drive the cars." They said, "Just have him sign up. We'll take care of it." So it's my loan, but because you're my friend, and apparently you can do this with your cars, you just put the friends or family members on your thing, and they can use it like a regular
symbiotic
car.
Relationship, like the elephant with the bird on its back.
Well, it's they should have a Plan Z button on the app, so you immediately can add the names
Fantastic
to Plan Z,
idea.
right?
Yes.
But yeah, I'll drop that car off. I'm taking it out to Willow Springs tomorrow for a Lamborghini event.
Another hot day for you, Ferriston.
I'm going to race around in the Lamborghini Evo, do some real laps with
it's
a real
10,000 degrees out there. I already noticed you're looking a little bit crispy from your Land Rover activities.
Yes, I am. But I'm going to take the Huracan Evo around the track at speed. And you know what? I've discovered this a while ago, Zuckerman. I bought this anti-motion sickness device that looks like a wristwatch. Flipped upside down on your wrist. It's not the little ball one. It sends an electric shock into your wrist that makes your hand go like this, right? You put it on, you're like, why would I? It's like a dog shock collar. Okay?
Why don't you put it around your balls?
I may. It's changing my mornings because I'm only dealing with motion sickness in the morning when I'm going around the track. After that, everything's fine. This thing, though, I'm thinking about wearing all the time in life because it stops you from ruminating about anything. A guy like you who's frequently angry or who can't get over anger or resentment might really enjoy this.
This would prevent me from perseverating, I think, is a psychological term for over-ruminating and grinding up something in your head.
Perseverating is vocal. It's repeating yourself over and over again. This stops the loop in your head.
I'm going to have to look that up. I don't know if that is, it could be repeating to yourself. I'm going to look that up, Ferriston.
Perseverate?
Yes. I don't know if that is a vocalization or it can just be internal.
Oh, I can tell you it is. It's a word I love and use. But I'm a writer, but you look it up. You'll be fine.
I'll look it up, and don't be dismissive like that. You could also, do you remember that first Darren?
I like the question. I'm going to have to look up that law about personal injury, Zuckerman.
Yes.
I don't think you're right about that.
Oh, because you're a psychologist now?
Hawthorne, Zuckerman, Hawthorne. Have you been wearing your Hawthorne cologne?
Yes.
It's
called Come to Me. Does it smell like come to you?
Zuckerman. You're always there with the uncle jokes. It's horrible. Talk about your first experiences with cologne. Well, you guys know what it is, right? I used to wear Old Spice. I used to steal my dad's Old Spice, and I thought I was pretty cool for that. And then I started wearing Drakkar Noir because I think one of our friends said it, and it made me laugh, the whole idea of Drakkar. What did you wear when you were a kid?
I didn't, but when you're ready to hear that you're wrong, I'm happy to let you know.
I'm so not interested in that conversation. Have you ever walked into Sephora to get cologne and was overwhelmed by all the choices? Do you wear Old Spice and girls think you smell like their dad? See, I did. I wore mine. Well, you need Hawthorne. These guys are awesome. You go to hawthorne.co. You answer a simple quiz because none of us know what to choose. You just answer these questions. What kind of guy are you? Are you out in the woods? Or do you like to go out for a nice night out? Do you like the movies? Do you like to stay at home? You answer these questions. They custom tailor a scent for you, and then it just comes to your house. All you have to do is take the 2-minute quiz. Hawthorne tells you exactly which 2 colognes are best for you. One for work, one for play. I've used them. It works. It's totally risk-free with free shipping and free returns if you don't like them. Just go to Hawthorne at hawthorne.co. That's Hawthorne with an E. And use my promo code SPIKE, S-P-I-K-E, to get 10% off your first purchase. That's hawthorne.co. And use my code SPIKE to get 10% off your purchase. Hawthorne.co. There we go. Zuckerman, the 992 cab that we'll be driving. I drove it on the way to La Quinta, to this Land Rover event to drive the new Defender. Before we get to that, though, I can't wait for you to drive this 992 because I think, and maybe I am completely nuts, and I will say this to you, that this is incrementally better than the Aventurine green car that we had. Is that possible this soon in the development?
I always think it's possible. Now, remember when we spoke to our fellow with the factory?
Yes.
That he told us that it's not possible for the cars to be that different. But
he said the break-in period was different.
That's true.
Andreas Pruniger, right.
Yes, Pruniger was saying that my theory about my two 4.0s didn't bear out, but I always felt that one was better than the other. And honestly, I believe that these cars are different, that they feel different, that they perform differently. I'm just not buying. I'm going to be very presidential and say, I don't believe what the scientist Pruniger says.
First of all, you and I kind of had the same realization after the 992 Carrera S that we needed a convertible instead. And yes, we're right about that. I've been really enjoying the ease and the kind of tennis racket country club vibe of the cab. Swiggins it up. But, I jammed that thing all the way to La Quinta, so you have a chance to open it up. I used the adaptive cruise control. I obviously used the cooling seats. It was 110. It just kept going up as I got closer. It was insane. But boy, what a car. It's the ease of use in this 992 with these options. Spectacular.
It's a true GT car, and it proves itself. I thought you were crazy, frankly, going to this junket out in the desert.
I did too.
In death
Yes.
temperatures. You could die of exposure.
Well, how about just the weirdness of going to a junket at a hotel?
During COVID.
With dinners and cocktails and everything else.
And why did they ask you to go?
Well,
you're not an automotive journalist. You are in the automotive world. You do exist, but I thought it was for journalists.
No. Well, I have a car podcast, sucker.
I've
had car TV shows. I've been in the car space for quite a while.
But you're not writing about it, in other words.
Well, we're talking about it.
I understand that, too. But you are not, say, a journalist. You're not with Motor Trend.
I am a person of note in the automotive and entertainment community.
Okay, I'm not impugning you.
I understand,
don't get defensive, porcupine.
But I'm explaining it to you how it works. For the last almost, close to 10 years, I get invited to these things. You're a little late to the game. Here's the difference. Let me answer it this way. I usually say no. I usually have too much going on during the week, and there isn't a pandemic, so I rarely accept these invitations. How about that? Does that make sense?
So that makes more sense because I haven't seen you do this.
Yeah, I rarely will actually go and do it, and I prefer the press car at the house and the
convenience.
The convenience of
and
that.
And not being under their control in 125-degree heat in the desert.
It was great control. I changed my mind about this for a couple reasons. One, I thought I really would love to get out of the house right now. I haven't been out of the house since this thing began, away from my family.
You hate your wife.
I think everybody, I don't, I love her, but I think we will all benefit from me being out of the house. Two, it's the Defender, the new Defender, which I have on order, and Dean said, you don't have to wait for yours. Here's one. You got one for your friend Bo. He offered me one, and I said, look, I think I can just go drive this next week in the desert. I want to do that. And it was at La Quinta Resort, that goofy old tennis resort that,
Bob
Hope types were at. I love that place. They have, it's a great old place. Nothing works right. But I absolutely...
Like Dean.
What's that?
Like Dean.
Like Dean Maroney, the car salesman. Yeah, nothing works right. And then the 992, I saw that I was getting the 992 the day before I was leaving. I went, how do I not take a new 911 into the desert, drive the Defender, and just see if I have a good time?
Listener question. I would assume, when Porsche drops off that 992, do they tell you, don't go too far, don't put more than 500 miles on it, or they don't care?
I get a normal amount of lease miles per month on it. They just go do whatever you want. It's your car.
Really?
Yeah. This is that Porsche
program.
Drive app.
But it doesn't matter. You're unlimited miles.
I don't have unlimited, but I think if I were to look, I would have guessed it's the exact limit of what I would have per year in a lease, right? Which is 10 to 12, right? And I only put 300 miles on it, and then I'm not going anywhere. Tomorrow I'll go up to Willow Springs and put another 100 or so on there. But, I won't come anywhere near it. Watch. And you won't either. You'll be driving it back and forth to work, right?
Tell me something. Did they buy you a hotel room, or did you have to pay for that?
So you show up. The traffic was horrendous. You get to La Quinta. And again, this is one of those pandemic situations. It's kind of better. A Land Rover representative meets you. They recognize the 911, and they walk up to you. Here's your key. Here's some water. There's some Defenders there. That's yours. The silver with the Explorer pack and not the snorkel, but the raised intake. You can drive it right now if you'd like. After being in traffic, I said, I don't want to drive, but I can't resist driving this thing that I've been dying to drive. So I took it out into the city immediately and drove around and fell in love. And then they said dinner and drinks is in an hour, right? So you're kind of nervous about that, but you go back to your room, get changed. You come out. No, I only had like 10 minutes.
No chucking?
There was no time, Zuckerman. There was not the time.
Not chucking into the M&Ms.
But here's a couple. Look, let me give you a couple of insights into this that I think you might already be dealing with at home. You don't have to dress up because you realize, well, this is going to be outside. I walk out, and it's Hannah Elliott from Bloomberg. This fella, Pat Devereaux, who I know, I think had something to do with the original Top Gear. Kind of talks like Eric Idle and makes nice conversation. He bought Petrolicious from...
I heard.
Yeah, from that. And he was talking about the rebranding and rebirth of Petrolicious. Perhaps we'll bring the Zagato there. I dropped the Zagato off for you. That was fun. And two or three other fellas who I didn't know but met. And drinks was just like 8 of us, separated about 8 feet outside. We then sat at a giant table as far away from each other as we are now, but in a cross. Me and Hannah and Pat and the representative from Land Rover, which you know me, right? Distance. I get so much comfort in distance. I hate having dinner with strangers
Close
when I'm
talkers.
sitting up and I can smell their breath. Now it's fantastic, and we're under the stars. The hotel is at once completely booked and completely empty. So as you walk around, there's just nobody else. We're the only ones in the restaurant. So Land Rover had this outdoor cafe for us. They make this great meal for us. We have great car conversation that goes on for 3 hours plus. And then you're like, we got to get up at 6 a.m, but what the hell? You stay up till like 11. And I'm like, this is already pretty fun. Back to the hotel, right to bed. Meet them in the morning.
Right to bed, sure.
No, not you, Zuckerman. Right to bed, wake up, have a little coffee, and we're off to the desert. Now, you have your own Land Rover that no one else is in, right? So you don't have to have a Land Rover guy with you jabbering at you to tell you about the thing. Do you get it?
Okay, what was your breakfast? I know you, sensitive stomach,
I don't have a sensitive stomach. No, you're wrong.
Car sick, seasick, whatever the fuck's wrong with you, that you feel ill.
What did I eat for breakfast? You know me pretty well.
You had coffee.
I had a lot of coffee, which I'm not supposed to do, right, if I don't want to get...
Exactly.
Yeah, but I love coffee.
Yeah, of course.
Go ahead.
Can't go without it.
What do you have? But we're not racing. We're off-roading.
What do you have,
I don't have problems.
Oatmeal?
An oatmeal.
An
exactly.
oatmeal.
Good,
so you
Zuckerman.
had to take a crap in the desert.
No. I didn't, but they have a Thunder Box for that.
What is a Thunder Box?
A Thunder Box is like a milk crate-sized piece of tin that you line with a garbage bag, and you poop into it. And they gave us a little demonstration. I'll put the picture of the Thunder Box in my Instagram post for this podcast.
Okay.
Because you can't poop out in the desert.
Why?
Because it would reflect poorly on Land Rover if you did.
Isn't that what you're supposed to do in the desert?
I think without Land Rover.
Desert. You're
I think
in
without
the desert.
them. Look, I took plenty of leaks out there, and that was fine. But I anticipated there would be an issue there pooping, right?
I would think Land Rover would come with a little shovel. Like you have a shovel in your...
No, you can't do that. It's bad for the environment. They can drop bombs out there.
Since when?
Zuckerman, they have a bombing range just to the left of where we're driving with unexploded ordnance. But you can't...
You're going to take it, but you can't take a bomb.
Yeah, you can't drop...
They can take a bomb,
right.
But you can't drop.
But you can't bomb. But it's their show, not mine. And we drove these Defenders... out about 60 miles on the street and then out into the desert, and I fell in love with the Defender, Zuckerman. I fell in love with it.
Let me ask you a question from 100,000 feet.
Yes.
On a scale of 1 to 10, Ferriston, 10 being perfect, what would you give the Land Rover based on your experience?
There are no perfect cars. Well, let's discuss that rather than putting a number on it. Maybe at the end I'll give it a number. But the headline here is, I got to use the Land Rover Defender in a way that most likely I wouldn't have normally used, right? Like my Range Rover Sport I just turned in has not been off-roading once. So I didn't really understand the capabilities of what these things can do.
And it is capable, isn't it?
Land Rover sets up a course for us where the very first is, miles of trails where we're going up and down in whoop-de-woos, right? You do have to slow down at 2 to 4 miles an hour because we're going deep up and down. Sand dunes, rock climbing, not rock climbing, what do they call, running over rocks, big rocks, going in between like carved out rocks on riverbeds, trying to stay away from the trees. They tell you to stay away from the trees and the bushes.
Why?
Because it will really scratch the paint.
Okay.
I'm not so sure I actually succeeded there. At
Excellent.
one point, I was going pretty fast, and I hit something, and I moved to the right, and I went into a tree, and I think I left real quick, but I'm pretty sure I did some damage to the right side of the Defender.
Excellent.
We may be getting a call, Zuckerman.
Bring him on. I'll handle it.
But we had these 3 coaches from Land Rover kind of teaching us how,
But they were not in the car with you?
No, they were in their own Defenders. We were all walkie-talkied up. They even said, look, we're not going to give you a lot of instruction because you'll just turn this thing off. But when we need to, we will.
Tell me, did anyone fuck up? Did anyone really get
not
stuck?
at all. Yeah, people got stuck. I didn't. But I did hit a tree. Other people had trouble. When you first go up a sand dune, what they say is, what he was saying to do this particular rise was bring it in at 15 miles an hour, and then when you get to the bottom, floor it, and then throttle off maybe 5%. If you don't do that, you won't come James Bond crashing over the top of the dune.
Right.
Instead, you'll dig in.
And you'll be fucked.
You're not fucked, but you have to stop, and then momentum and gravity will bring you back down unless you dig in. And 2 out of the 6 got stuck and rolled back. It was pretty easy, though. I mean, it blasted. We were on special off-road tires. We were at 35 PSI. Well, nothing special, right? Stuff we were driving on the road with it. But I had the Beatles on in this thing, Zuckerman. They give us this long speech about if you don't drink a liter of water on the road for the first 60 miles until you get to the casino, which is your last official bathroom break,
You'll be dead.
You could go in a heat stroke, and this is what that would look like. And you're sitting there going, God, this is really going to be a long day. It's 7, and there's talking about we're not done till 4. And then you realize, well, wait a minute, don't I have air conditioning in this thing? So I've got the Beatles. I've got the AC. AC is jamming, by the way, at 118 degrees outside. I am just comfortable. The seats are comfortable. And I'm doing anything I want in this. I really absolutely loved it.
What was the price point of the vehicle?
I'm going to tell you that. These are all good questions, Zuckerman. I was in an Indus Silver. I was in the Explorer pack, which has the mud flaps, the matte black hood decal. Okay, so on the front it says 110 Defender in a matte black hood decal. You got to get it because you look at it all the time when you're driving, and you know what? You feel cool. You feel like this is something better than a normal SUV. It's got the right attitude. And I have ordered that in my new one.
Are you getting a 110 or a 90?
110. 110, dude. 3 rows. What else does this one have? Clean air quality, wheel arches, exterior elite mount gear carrier. Look, it had a lot of great stuff in it. It had the Explorer pack. Everybody thinks it's a snorkel off the driver's side door. It's not. It's an air intake, and that's for. It was actually very helpful in this situation because it's when most of the dust in off-roading is down low.
Right.
So this is
Keeps
pulling it from up high.
Was there a ladder on the car?
Yeah, there was. Right.
How's the ladder? Is it cool?
The ladder's the best. And that little weird side compartment that they said is for things that are wet has a funny little label in it that says no cameras and no wine glasses. but put pets in there. Anything else you want. Just no cameras and no wine glasses. And they were saying, it's I still haven't figured out what's that's going to be used for because they're saying you put your wet gear in there, but isn't that what an SUV is? For wet gear?
The whole thing's for wet gear.
Yeah, the whole thing's for wet gear. Anyway, it didn't matter. They put their little ice cream sign in there, and the lead guy had this industrial I don't know what kind of electrical system he had in his, but he had a full-on freezer setup in the back of his Defender. I'm talking freezer, Zuckerman. We had ice cream at 120 degrees, 60 miles into the desert.
But it said, save your ice cream, I'm going home.
And but it was loud. His car was like, just to keep that freezer going. But the whole day was great. I really absolutely loved it. I'm so happy I went. And this is the human nature thing you and I always talk about. Like, we don't want to do anything. And then when you go and do it, I really want to thank Land Rover for it because I feel grateful that I've now experienced this truck. I have to be honest with you. I thought I was going to hate it. And I started thinking maybe Bronco is the way to go next year. And maybe I'll change my mind again. But right now, nope. I love this thing. I love it. Now, while we were there were a lot of questions being raised about electrical issues with the car in the entertainment system. Some people had been, I guess, I'm not sure who it was, but some people had been talking to Hannah Elliott about it. And she was asking those questions. They, of course, said they weren't aware of anything. I did notice my CarPlay didn't work for a little while, and then it did work. But that's all I noticed in my short time with it, right? And that, I don't know. That happens with me in most of my vehicles. It has not happened in the 992. I usually turn the car off, lock it, turn it back on, and everything's fine.
What colors were out there? You had a silver.
We had silver. We had Pangea green, which is what I've ordered, and there was that beautiful blue that you guys picked up. And then there was a black. Hannah Elliott had the luxury version from Bloomberg, so she had black urban leather interior, and it was pretty cool. But still, she was beating the crap out of that thing. And I'm trying to reconcile, like you can, and maybe this is just an off-road thing. How do you buy an off-road vehicle and then beat it up? You don't have to worry about bushes. You want to just go over stuff, right? I mean, and you damage paint, you damage wheels, you damage the whole deal. Do you just get over that?
Look at your old LR2, right? Somebody treated that thing the right way, which was to beat the crap out of it.
What's the LR2?
Your old Landy.
The Series 2.
The Series 2.
2A, right.
Yeah.
No, I'm, but even I try to take care of that too. Look at this fucking phone. Just starts turning on and listening to us.
I like the name Pangea Green. Pangea,
that's what I have.
Pangea as when all of the continents were one.
Yes.
The time when the world was one.
Yes.
I like that idea. That's the color I would pick just for the name and the notion.
Getting back to Hannah and the guy from Petrolicious, there was a nice awkward moment when he introduced himself and said, I just bought Petrolicious. I said, then you should meet Hannah Elliott. She made it cheaper for you. And he goes, what do you mean? He had no awareness of the article that Hannah wrote for Bloomberg on the founder of Petrolicious and his, I guess they were racist
She
comments.
was the unintentional stalking horse of the deal.
Yeah, and he said, well, yeah, you did help me out there. I do appreciate it. Again, he was very Eric Idly.
What did he pay, Ferris did?
That was a little uncouth, Zuckerman.
Okay.
Had you been there,
I would have asked.
You know what? Hannah did allude to the fact that she knew what the original asking price was, and I think that the two of them got together, and maybe they had that conversation. Maybe you can ask her. Anyway, that was a trip. It was fun. I loved it. I want to do more of it, and hopefully I'll survive this Lamborghini racing.
That's going to be amazing.
The Huracan.
Amazing.
Now, I'll invite you on these things if you want to come.
I'm not going at this temperature.
It's actually a little cooler.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing it.
We were down. They were like, boy, this is a nice day. And I'm looking at the temp, and it's 118. I go, what does that mean? He goes, well, it was 126 yesterday. So this is great. I'm looking at these guys like, man.
No
way.
No.
Yeah, that part of it was not, I don't know. It was so much fun. I didn't care. I'll be honest.
Oof.
And then, the bombing range, Zuckerman, you're going, God, I'm so happy the Navy bombers aren't bombing today. And then you see the planes, and they're flying around you. And you're like, well, what the hell? And then the things start dropping out of them. And you go, this is about to get interesting. And they were dropping dummy bombs. So like bags of flour. But you seen them kind of come down. You're like, all right, well, I guess this is the end. But what a cool way to die. This is going to be great. And they have all of these multicolored like teepees out there that are made of metal that look like teepees, but they're red and yellow and green, and they try to hit them. Can you imagine a cooler like backdrop to be doing this stuff?
Amazing.
Yeah, and guys with guns. Then you come down the other way, and there's all these shooting ranges, and people are just shooting guns off. I love the desert. It's like the ocean. It's relaxing to me. Oof. You look out, it's just great.
I like the ocean. I don't find the desert where I start to think about, like, I wonder how long I could survive if I was walking here. If it was like that Good, the Bad, and the Ugly. Remember where he has to walk through the desert without water. Could you make it?
I can answer that question for you because after lunch we had another quick meeting about the second stage, and I felt myself falling asleep standing up.
Right?
Yeah. I was standing there going, boy, I think I could just pass out right now.
How did you sleep when you got home?
Then I drove the 911 home, and I immediately lit up a cigar because it was Saturday night and had a great evening, and I wasn't tired. I was not tired. Yeah. It wasn't bad because, again, it was air conditioned. It wasn't like you were on the track like when we were go-kart racing last week, and it was 100 plus, and we're just sweating. That, I came home and passed out. This was nice. I also learned another little trick, Zuckerman, old age back help. On the way there, I started having kind of seat time tired back feeling, right? The way back home, ibuprofen. Dropped 3 or 4 of those. Nothing. 0. Didn't even need to stretch.
Drugs. Take your drugs.
Drugs work, Zuckerman. Drugs work. Anyway, I realized I had the Zagato in the garage for an inordinate amount of time, and I brought it back for you now that it's cooled off. Now that the gas tank issue is sorted by Mr. Wilhoit. It had a little bit of a sputtering issue, but I just took it on the 405. It's working fine.
Fixed itself, huh?
It just warms up. Once it's really a race car. So here's the only advice I would give you in the low RPMs. Keep it in the happy spot, like a race car, 3 and above, and you're not going to have any issues. Other than that, it drives like an old car. The little low RPMs is not really where it's comfortable. But you got to drive it. You didn't go out to the car show this weekend, did you?
No. Again, too hot, and I was having a great time.
Why? Where were you up
to? I was just in Baldwin Hills with my son, and as you know, I've got the pool working.
Well, there's some very exciting news with your son, Zuckerman. I don't know if you want to go wide with that.
We can go. I don't have a problem.
People do listen to this show around the world, and personal information like that might not be something you want to talk about. But if you want to share with us.
Well, I think it's big news, Ferguson.
Go ahead.
Very big news.
Go ahead and share.
Where this house is, there's a lot of hills. There's a lot of park area, and we've noticed there's quite a bit of wildlife up there. And you will see filthy possums. And my future reincarnation, the possum. There's a lot of skunks.
Skink, you mean?
Yeah, there's a lot of skunks, lots of lizards.
Right.
And there are raccoons, apparently. And my son tends not to go to bed too early.
Okay.
So he reported to me that I think it was Saturday night, he heard some rustling outside.
What time?
And it was 1:30.
Wow,
and he
late.
Saw a little family of raccoons out there, and they were getting from the workers, I think, some leftover Chinese food
that the workers had callously tossed aside.
Right, that they left in an open garbage
Yes.
bin, so they had helped themselves to some more takeout. And so he tried to find them, get outside, but they were gone. But he was ready the next night.
Right.
And the next night, again, he heard the noise, and he went outside, and he saw them. He saw one in particular that seemed to be kind of scared of him, but he was calm. He was armed with nuts, and and he was able to establish a little bit of trust. He threw a nut down there, and the raccoon ate it and liked it, and then he established a bridge of trust. After several feedings of almonds, he got the guy to come up.
So they're eating almonds.
Yes, they like.
That's
what
Lloyd the squirrel used to eat.
Yeah, unsalted.
Of course, yeah. You give them too much salt, they'll pop.
No, you don't want to give them salt. And so eventually, this raccoon came and took it out of his hand.
Yes, and you sent me the video. It was one of the most exciting videos I've ever watched.
And this was after the raccoon had spent some time in the pool cooling off.
What did he say about the raccoon's hands?
He said the raccoon's hands were, although you wouldn't expect it, they were quite soft.
They had soft hands.
Yeah, like the little leather at the on the bottom, the pads. He said.
Have we named the raccoon yet, Zuckerman?
I asked him, and he said he'd think about it. If he doesn't get on it, I'm going to call him Willie. Willie, and his girl can be Squirmels. And
Squirmels?
Yeah, those were some feral cats I had as a kid. and we'll figure out
that you called Squirmels?
Willie and Squirmels when I was a little kid.
Oh, you already named things this.
Yes, and so this will be the repeat. And then I asked him last night if they came back. He said, no, but there was a kitten out there.
A what?
A kitten. There's all sorts.
They call raccoon babies kittens?
No, a kitten. This was a real cat.
A real kitten.
A kitten was out there. So
well, the raccoon's going to eat that. You better
they
watch
don't eat that. They prefer garbage.
They prefer
to live creatures. So
did he capture the kitten?
No, but I asked him to because that would be something that would amuse me and would irritate. I'm gonna
call this place Zuckerman's Free Pet Depot. That's what your flag should say above the pool. Free Pet Depot, because the free pets just keep coming up.
They come through there. They come trucking through there.
I want a raccoon.
Lots of squirrels, lots of raccoons, lots of skunks.
I'm not having luck with my squirrels. You
have a dog. That's the problem.
Well, no, it's not the problem. This new batch of squirrels are keeping me at arm's length. So I know we had Lloyd for a while. Lloyd grew up and moved off. And then I had Arthur this year. And Arthur, I gave him some almonds. And then one day, Erica was up in my office, and I was working, and Arthur came right in. Up the stairs, came right in. She's like, what's happening? And I was like, I've trained him to eat. And I gave him some, and she's,
of course, too.
She's deeply affected. She's like, what? Spike, you're feeding rats?
Yes. They're not rats.
But it was fun. I mean, I have the picture of her looking at the squirrel. It's great. It makes me laugh. And then in the subsequent days, Arthur started getting distant with me. So I would be out in the backyard smoking my evening cigar, and he would come only halfway. And then he started only coming down halfway to the tree. And then he made me put the almonds on the bench under the tree. I would walk away, and only then would he come down.
Clearly, he senses something about you. Some sociopathy, something awful that animals can sense in a human.
But Lloyd didn't have that radar?
Okay. You never petted Lloyd. I was able to pet him.
You body petted him, yeah. But I did pet Lloyd, and Lloyd bit the end of my finger off, as you recall.
See? Yeah. Again, they sense something in you.
No.
They don't sense in
me. I looked away, and I didn't notice that he had already eaten half the almond, and I put my finger forward, and he just bit my finger. He felt terrible about that.
Do you know that a squirrel's 2 front teeth can grow a half an inch a year?
Zuckerman, they were big and they were yellow, and they punctured my skin in a way that nothing has punctured it before.
That makes me so happy.
And it hurt like crazy.
That really makes me happy.
And you know what you do immediately? You're out there Googling rabies. Do I get rabies? Do squirrels have rabies?
We could only hope.
I was hoping for it.
I would hope that do they still have those painful...
The sweet release of death.
And you get painful shots in the stomach.
But you know what? I didn't panic, because the squirrels don't get rabies, and here I am. I didn't do anything. I put a little Neospio on there, and I'm done.
Neospio. Nice.
Neosporin, right?
Yes.
What else is there to do? Anyway, should we bring these girls on?
Bring them on.
All right, let me tell you a little about them, and then I will introduce them. They are Jovina Young and Erica Martin. We shouldn't call them girls. They're moms.
Women.
They have kids. They met working at an advertising firm on the campaigns for the Ford F-Truck series. 10 years after that, after marriages, after kids, they met back up at Ford in Michigan. They both work for the Ford Motor Company, and they're both working on the new Bronco. How about that? And I had a lovely chat with them just earlier today. Neither of them have any experience off-roading. Neither. They work in the marketing department. They suggested to Ford that they sign up for the Rebelle Rally, which is an all-woman competition that covers 1,200 miles beginning at Lake Tahoe, Nevada, on October 10th and ending at the Imperial Sand Dunes in California, right near where I was, on the 17th. Ideal terrain to prove out the capability and durability of all-new Bronco Sport small SUV. It's an 8-day off-road adventure designed to test not just the driving skills, the navigation skills, as There's no GPS allowed.
Really?
They're using compasses. They're using maps. Nice. Here, their only qualifications. They like to be outside, and they want to show America. They want to show the men and women who don't off-road, the kids who aren't off-roaders, that this new Bronco, you can get in it and you can learn to do this. You shouldn't be afraid to do it. I'm going to second that because I've never been trained in off-road driving, and I thoroughly enjoyed the training I got from my friends at Land Rover. And I get what they're up to. If the Bronco performs in this way and it's good for a beginner, and you see these two employees of Ford, but also just moms. They say we're just moms who with no experience, going out into the desert to drive 1,200 miles.
Without navigation.
They have, I did ask them about bathroom, and they said, we've come prepared. Jovina's husband built something he calls the shit can? No. The shit kit. The shit kit. He made one for each of the teams coming out of Ford for the rally. Isn't that cool?
He must have enjoyed that.
How did this whole this poop box escape us all these years, Zuckerman? And in the same week, I'm getting it from two different places.
I don't understand it. I just shit out.
Anyway, let's talk to Jovina and Erica. Where are you in a hotel room?
We're in Reno.
So that's where this whole thing begins, in Reno?
Well, we just got here last night where our vehicles were shipped. So our vehicles are being stored in Reno. We're going to go check those out today, load them up, take them to a local off-road park to just get acquainted. And then we're going to drive tomorrow to Tahoe where tech inspection will be and where the competition will start from. So
have you not driven the Bronco?
Not these particular Broncos.
Not these ones. Yeah. We've driven a couple back in Michigan, but these are wrapped in our livery. So we want to make sure that they're ready to go. I'm pretty sure they are, but
have they been modified at all? These new ones? Or?
No. So the great thing about the Rebelle Rally is it's really a competition for vehicles. And so really the only modification that was done to these is we've added an auxiliary roof light to the top. And then we removed the second row seats just because we have a lot of self-sufficient in the entire rally. So we have a ton of gear with us, extra tires.
2 full-size chairs.
And how are you feeling? I mean, have either of you ever done anything like this before?
No. No. We're feeling good as can be expected. I think we're both, have worked full-time on the Bronco team. We both are moms. So I think we really haven't had time to completely process. I mean, we've been doing a lot of training, but I haven't had enough downtime to really freak out about it. So
right.
We have these 2 days. We've left our responsibilities at home. I left my laptop. My husband's all set up with my daughter. So now we just have these couple days to get our head in the game and
fantastic.
Get in the zone. Yeah.
I was just out in the desert a couple days ago, off-roading down near where I think you're ending up through the dunes. It's so much fun. But the one thing I will say is, and I didn't know anything about the Rebelle Rally, I was, listening to the Beatles on Spotify, but I was looking at my navigation and it kind of calmed me down knowing, okay, at least I have got GPS and I know where I am. Mm-hmm. I had 6 or 7 other trucks around me. The whole point of this rally, as I understand it, is you have to find your way over the course of how many days? 7 days?
8 days.
8 days from Tahoe down towards Glamis, the Imperial Dunes, right? Mm-hmm. Which is near the border of Mexico. But without any sort of navigation, right? So
a compass and a map and a plotter.
Well, are you going to be? Do you have any support out there, or is your truck out there by itself with just you in it? How does it work?
So there's a huge support system with the Rebelle Rally. They've got a full mechanics support system, and then just a lot of staff who's kind of around. But the way that it starts is every morning we're all together at a base camp. Mm-hmm. We start the morning. They give us maybe 20, more checkpoints than you could ever hit in a day. And part of the strategy, as you're looking at the checkpoints, is to plop them on and just determine which checkpoints that you're going to hit. Mm-hmm. And each checkpoint is worth a different amount of points, obviously. So, and that's the name of the game. And so every morning we'll be plotting our latitude and longitudes on the map. We'll be spending time to determine what the best path is to get to that location. And along the way, getting out, taking our compasses out, making sure that we're continuously heading in the right direction of where we think we are on the map. And that's basically your tools. You've got the compass, you've got your map, and then we've got a plotter with us to continuously, and then you have the topography around you, because that's what the name of you're just looking at. What am I seeing on this map is where that mountain hits the bottom of the road. I can see that. I know that that's 170 degrees from here. We're going to keep making sure we're going 170 degrees in that direction.
We are satellite tracked too. So
and you are satellite tracked. Okay.
Yeah, it's
and
not
then,
like we can ever get.
Did Ford say to you, look, ladies, I know this looks like fun, but you have to win. The Bronco is not going to come in second, third, or even fifth. We need you two to get out there and beat everyone.
No. Well, we've entered 2 other Bronco Sport teams, so we have a total of 3 teams. So we have Shelby Hall and an experienced navigator.
Oh, wow.
As you know, raced for us in Baja with the Bronco.
Right.
So they're going to win. We're competing for a totally different reason.
You're selling yourself short.
Well, what we want to show people is that novices can have as much fun doing this as an expert, and that Bronco Sport has all of the modes and helpful tools to help people like us get out there and feel confident.
And I think with Bronco and Bronco Sport, like as a brand family coming to the marketplace, we know there's going to be a lot of new people coming into the fold, right? Coming into off-roading who've never done it before. I've seen posts on some of the forums saying, this one guy said, me and my son just put in our reservation for a Bronco. We've never off-roaded, but we're kind of excited to do this together. And I think there's a lot of people like that who just are afraid to take that first step. And we just kind of want to, if we could do it, then go ahead out there and try it yourself. And, there are different lessons and classes you can take, or you could start small. Off-roading doesn't have to start with, technical rocks. You could just get out on 2 tracks and just see the beautiful nature that's around you. That's also off-roading. And I think we just want to make sure that people see it in many different ways.
Right. Well, it is fun. I mean, we were out going down a road, and just to the left of us it said naval bombing site, and I said, wow, I'm really happy they're not bombing today because we're very close. But then the F-35 started flying over, and I went, I guess they are bombing today. And then bombs started dropping out of the plane, the jet, but they were dummy bombs. But for a minute you think, well, that's it. I'm gonna get hit with shrapnel. But there's something, the desert is, I've always loved the desert and being off-road, and it's because it's lawless, and you don't quite know, there, to the other side was a shooting range that was closed, and there were just a bunch of guys out there shooting bottles outside of the barrier. I like the lawless nature of the desert, but, I was remembering a few things. You got to watch out for the trees, those little bushes. They will really mess your truck up. It looks like you're just kind of going through them. It's just a little tree with leaves. No, they're like knives. They scratch up the side. Has Ford, did they say, look, don't worry about this thing? Because it's so easy, even on a tight path, to take the side of your truck off on a rock.
Right.
Did they just did they say, don't worry about this thing? It's like a Dixie cup. We've got a lot of them. Or
no.
Please take care of our truck.
Definitely take care. And I think, first and foremost, Ford wants us to be safe, and they make sure that we've taken the training, and that we know kind of what we're doing. So we've been very serious about that piece of it. And
what did they do? What do you mean? I want to know what they did to train you. What did they do? Was it like the right stuff? Did they have you in a hangar and submitting you all sorts of centrifuge tests?
That's exactly. So we took training through Ford out at their proving grounds.
Okay.
There's a standard training that they put their engineers through to be able to test off-road. So we both got certified in Tier 2 off-road training, which you practice, steep ascents, steep descents, narrow rutted trails. They taught us how to like spot each other, like communication for spotting. We practiced that in Raptors because that's what they had available on the course. And then last week we were out in Nevada with some former Rebels and current Rebels, and they taught us how to drive in the sand dunes and taught us recovery techniques, how to use max tracks and shovels and all of that good stuff. We learned how to change a tire, and we practiced the navigation piece practically last week too. What else have we done? We had walk-arounds with the engineers.
Yeah, the engineers kind of took us through walk-arounds with the vehicle. We've had a lot of conversations with them as well. We've just been out and out and practicing. So
right. What are some of the recovery techniques they taught you in the dunes? I know when they were, I was with a crew and they were saying one thing is to keep your vehicle pointed down towards gravity.
Yeah, never stop. Yep, never stop with your tires pointing up. You want to be on a high point with your tires pointing down.
We learned that very early on. I think our very first stop, we stopped kind of flat, and then they were like, "Oh, next time you stop,
they go like this, right?
Like this, like you want to stop with your wheels down." So we had to kind of immediately learn how to kind of get out of that one.
Did they teach you about the Thunder Box? Did they give you that? The outdoor bathroom.
Oh.
I had a speech about the Thunder Box and how we leave the desert as we find it. So that box and this plastic bag.
Yes. Well, my father-in-law made us these. He gave us this a going away present. He called it SHT.
You can say any words you want here. Get out of mom mode right now. You're in podcast mode. You haven't met my co-host. He's vile. He calls it the shit box.
He called them shit kits.
Shit kits.
I'm proud of them. And he has this whole kit prepared for each one of the vehicles. And
cool.
We're going to give them to the girls today, so I'm going to have to film their reaction.
Oh, so he made them for everybody.
Yeah.
Oh, what a great guy. And how does he have all of this knowledge of where to go to the bathroom? That's just dads know this.
I guess so.
Wow. I want one of those. That's amazing.
I'll let him know. He's quite proud of it.
So your families must be pretty excited. You have young kids, right? You have 2 and 6. Wow. And a 5. Wow. This is going to be fun.
My husband is so jealous.
Oh, yeah, I can't imagine. I mean, I'm jealous that you guys get to do this.
Yeah. He's proud of me.
It's an all-female rally. Every single driver is a woman, right? So at night, do you guys all get together? Is there some sort of event? I mean, where do you sleep?
So the tent camping.
Yeah, so there's base camp, and we'll all be in tents at night.
There's at base camp, though, there's facilities, bathrooms, sometimes showers, and then there's a food tent. Although I know they're planning some social distancing protocol for COVID.
Right.
But yeah, there are opportunities for us all to get together. And then at the end of the week, after we're finished, there's a live webcasted awards, which is a gala where we put on our nicest outfit that we at the bottom of our bag and, try our best to, I think just to celebrate, get done up and then celebrate with everyone. And
wow. 1,200 miles. That's a lot of miles. So I just keep going back just because I just did this when our guys told us we were going to do 150 and it was 120 degrees out and we started moving along the big bumps at like 2 miles an hour. I was like, boy, I don't know how I'm going to. Luckily for me, 60 of that was on the road getting to the desert. So
and imagine for whoever's navigating, it's like your head is down in the map. So I think it's easy to get a little,
You could.
Yeah.
Do you get motion sickness?
I haven't yet, but
I don't typically. But
I don't think you will.
We have supplies in case we do.
We do. We brought Dramamine and stuff, but I haven't been in a vehicle doing this for 12 hours a day looking at a map. So
that part of it I got used to pretty quickly. I don't know. Again, it's like there's something beautiful about the desert and its openness that reminds me of that. When you get on a vacation and you look out at the ocean and suddenly you just relax. That same thing happens to me in the vastness and the emptiness of it. it's very calming and relaxing, especially in the pandemic. I thought, it's 120 degrees. Yeah. Nothing surviving in that air.
Yeah. We're going to have to remind ourselves to like stop every once in a while and take that in and just not let the stress.
Oh, you'll get plenty of it. You'll see. Yeah. So obviously you guys had to get tested to be in the same car together and make sure you're fine. And now you have to watch out what you're doing. And you're in a hotel. Where is that?
In Reno.
In Reno. All right. And what are people paying attention to protocols there? Or are they all maskless and goofball?
Yeah, people have been. Yeah, the whole
hotel. For breakfast, I think they usually have a buffet, but they did order what you want and you pick up a bag.
They don't have it anymore, so it's just
I hope not.
To order, and then your bag is there with your room number, and you can come up and grab your bag. So they've changed protocols at the hotels as well.
So you're going to be posting about your daily adventures on the Bronco Nation. Is that a Ford website or just a Bronco fan website?
It's just a Bronco fan website. So they'll be posting, and Ford Performance will be also posting, race updates. You can also follow us on RebelleRally.com. There's a live section where you can see actually our tracking vehicle. You can see where we are. Yeah.
Wow.
There's an app you can download too. Yeah, we're Team 202, the Fearless Phillies. That's a horse joke.
Wow, well, this is pretty fun. And the kids must be super excited for you, right? The 2-year-old probably doesn't know what's going on, but 6 and 5 are probably excited.
My 5-year-old kind of gets it, but the nice thing is we're going to have GoPros with us and point and shoot, and Ford's doing a lot of good PR around this. So even if she doesn't quite get it now, I hope someday I'll have something to show her and she'll be like, oh man, my mom's a badass.
Yeah, well, I think it's cool. And after this, you both go back to work for Ford, right? It's back to the grind.
Yeah, it is.
Well, that's a cool job that lets you do this. I mean, sends you out on a rally for a bunch of time.
I feel like we're the luckiest girl in the world.
Yeah, we are so lucky. I can't even believe we're doing this. And we were telling somebody else the other day, when this opportunity came up as an idea, I was sitting there thinking, like, what if we entered a Ford novice team? I was like, gosh, I think I want to do this. Like, I've never done anything like this in my life.
Right.
I think I want to do this. And then I called Erica and said, hey, the Rebelle Rally we've been talking about? And she's like, yeah.
I'm like, yeah, what about it? Are we entering Shelby? Like, what's the communications plan? And she's like, well, I want to enter a novice team and I want to do it. And this is where it gets crazy. I want you to be my partner.
Oh, wow.
So I said, yeah, you are crazy. And then I was like, okay, I can't say no. Let's do it.
Yeah. I think it's one of those things that if we passed it up, I would regret it for the rest of my life.
Yeah, no, and you didn't have to have any competition. Well, next year you call me up, and we'll Mrs. Doubtfire it. I want to come along because this thing sounds great. It sounds like a lot of fun, and you're going to really get to see what that Bronco can do. It's going to give you a perspective on this SUV that no one else has. And really, because no one's really driven this thing off-road yet, so you're going to get to see it as it should be in its natural environment.
Yeah, and I think the great thing is for Eric and I, we're both marketers, right? And so I feel like coming out of this, we'll be very authentic in our voice to talk about what the Bronco Sport can do and be able to speak firsthand about our experience, or like even just working with our creative teams on, our TV commercials. Let's say we'll have a really good eye for what makes sense, what we're doing and what we're showcasing and how we're showcasing the people in the spots.
And like the engineers keep saying they're so glad we're doing this because this is exactly what Bronco Sport was for. It's like the best case test for it, Even the testing that they've been putting it through out in the desert, he's like, this is what Bronco Sport was built for.
Yeah, you're going to learn a lot about it. Well, Jovina Young, Erica Martin, I'm jealous. I wish I were going on this trip, but I'm happy for you both.
Thank you.
I'm happy that your husbands are jealous. That's really fun. Happy that you have this nice break and you're driving this amazing truck. And I look forward to following the whole thing on the BroncoNation.com, which I just followed on Instagram so I can keep up with the whole deal. I wish you the best of luck. Godspeed. Watch out for scorpions and snakes. Enjoy the beautiful starry skies. And the shit can, what did you call it?
The shit can.
Tell your father-in-law to copyright that.
He's famous now.
He's going to sell a lot of them. All right. Very nice meeting you both.
Nice to meet you.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
Well, there they are, Zuckerman.
Fantastic.
Aren't they great?
The best.
What was your favorite part of that interview?
Not being there.
Well said, Zuckerman. Well said. All right, before we go, what would you like to promote? Do you want to help sell that Outlaw Archive book of yours?
Well,
or are they already sold?
Well, we haven't put them up yet, so the listeners, it'll probably be available next week.
Tell everybody what it is, though. They don't even know what we're talking about.
The Outlaw Archive, as you know, is an archive.
The short version, please.
The short version is my partner Bo and I have almost something like a private archive museum that relates to outlaw motorcycle clubs in California in the 1950s and 60s. And there are 30,000 items, photos, etc. We're reissuing 3 of the past books that we've put out. One is on a defunct club called the Coffin Cheaters.
I have that book. It's amazing.
We're reissuing it, and we did a better cover, better paper. It's beautiful. Tells the stories of this band of bikers. I think it's 400 pages. It's fantastic.
But beautiful color photos of things you've never seen in a world.
Stories you've never seen.
And stories you've never read. But I love the pictures of the things these guys made and how the organization worked. They're great books. They're really
great.
Cool.
And then there's Halfway to Purdue. There's a woman who was known as Mother Ruth.
Right.
She was the godmother of all of these outlaw motorcycle clubs, the Straight Satans, Satan Slaves, Hell's Angels. She helped the clubs to organize their chapters. She kept minutes. She was the only woman allowed in the club meetings.
Right.
She wore a Hell's Angels jacket, and she rode a bike. And she had a big format camera. Guys would stop at her house on the way to other clubs, and she would take pictures of them. My partner tracked down her archive from her daughter.
Wow.
And we published the book with remembrances, guys talking about...
So how many books are there?
3, and then there's a book on Grubby Glenn, who was Bernardino, a Purdue, Hell's Angels.
Wait, were these the big boxes of books you were sending us over the weekend?
Yes.
That's the pictures? So
Yes.
how do fans get them if they want to buy them?
They should go to @Outlaw Archive. Follow @Outlaw Archive on Instagram, and purchase instructions will be ready within the next several days.
This post tomorrow.
Yes.
Right?
So within a few days thereafter, you go on @Outlaw Archive, follow @Outlaw Archive, and the purchase instructions will be on there, and thereafter...
And you got to buy all four books.
No, you can buy 1, you can buy 2 or 3.
No, you're supposed to. Yeah, you need to buy all of them.
All
Zuckerman.
3,
what
yes.
What are you doing? Sell, boy.
Sell.
They are cool, though. As far as like something as a book to put on a table, there's nothing like this. These books are incredible. The photographs of the stuff are incredible. Zuckerman's got legit museums sniffing around this collection. So before it gets into a place that they're going to charge you money, get the book. It's just super cool stuff that fits in with our listener vibe of, cool.
Being an outsider.
Cool.
Do you want me to read that little quote about Blind Bob? That was one of my favorite.
Go ahead,
little
and then we'll go out on a quote from Blind Bob.
Blind Bob was a Hell's Angel.
Hold the mic up to your mouth.
And
though.
here is another Hell's Angel commenting about long ago Blind Bob.
Okay.
And he says Blind Bob carried wire cutters and pliers in his jacket. He couldn't see at night. If I introduced you to Blind Bob, he'd shake your hand and grab it to see if you had any rings on. If he couldn't get them off your finger, then he'd take those wire cutters and cut them off. You didn't shake his hand. Don't shake his hand. He would also go into people's houses and cut up their furniture. He couldn't see, so he wanted to make people mad, and he did. He'd go out to the ranch where we were living, and out there on the ranch, he'd get these sticks of dynamite. He'd go out 100 yards with Butch or whoever, take them out in the dark and blow up tree stumps. He blew Dougie Poo out of a concrete shower once in Ponderosa. Those are the kind of gems you will get.
You think Hunter Thompson had a game. These guys have game. There it is. Go to Outlaw Archive on Instagram, @Outlaw Archive. Of course, Follow me at Spike Ferriston on Instagram and keep an eye out. We're going to be giving away a new, fresh giveaway weekend 9/11. We got another one to give away. I think it'll be in a couple weeks, but pay attention to my Instagram feed. That's all we have. I don't know who's on the show next week. I think I'm trying to get Jerry to come on. I saw him on 60 Minutes. He's out there promoting a book.
Spike's Book Club.
Spike's Book Club, right? But how do we do that? How do we get him and me and you?
Tell him to get on a plane and come on out.
What if we set the computer up here? We could do a Zoom from here, right?
We could do that. We could do it from my office.
But what if the listeners? I don't know if I want to be that close to you.
Shut the fuck up.
Not with what you did to Trump.
Fucking shut up.
Sitting in an office making people sick. Look at you. You're a super spreader. I can smell it on you.
Full of germs. Herpes, shingles, and crabs.
We'll figure out the logistics ourselves. We'll see you next week on Spike's Car Radio.
Thanks for listening to Spike's Car Radio, brought to you by Hangar 56. Listen to new episodes every Wednesday, and be sure to subscribe on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your favorite podcasts.